order the May 8th meeting of the Lowell Conservation Commission. Starting off, we have an enforcement order against Cy Dang located at 258 Varnum Ave. Anybody here? Anybody online? Any updates?
We haven't been able to get in touch with the property owner.
All right, so we had said originally that we were okay with letting the other agencies deal with it. Then a contact was made, and so we put him back on the agenda, and so he was
supposed to come today.
Yeah, we were hoping to get another contact and get him here, but seeing as that hasn't happened, I think we should go back to our original 6-month check-in plan. Anybody?
I just think it's strange that he said he was going to be here and now he's not. But he's got bigger fish to fry, so I agree with you. Anyone else?
No, I think that's, just go back to the 6 months that we were doing before and see where we're at in 6 months.
Is that a motion?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to table this enforcement order for a period of 6 months, which would...
To the first meeting in November?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Another continued item, Elaine's request for determination of applicability, Elaine Pantano, 74 Roper Street. Good evening, Elaine. Before you start, I'd like to discuss a site visit and a plan review that I did on site with Elaine. The plans for her original development, as far as we can tell, at least they were approved by the planning board, and she's got a copy right there, showed this catch basin that's in question connecting directly to this city swale, which is the wetlands in question. I was there. The stream was running pretty quickly. There's water coming through it from both other catch basins on her property and other areas further up the hill. For whatever reason, this catch basin was not connected to this swale, just like all the other catch basin outfalls paths from this side. I think there's 2 or 3 other areas where their overflow rainwater, surface runoff goes directly into the swale. So because this was approved, and it's consistent with the rest of the construction of this site, I don't think that we're really protecting anything by requiring pre-treatment on one catch basin out of 3 legs for the site. Is there anything else that you'd like to say about it, Elaine?
Yeah, I would. First of all, Brett, I want to thank you publicly for coming out that day and to go over the plans with us. That catch basin and that drain that we're asking for now was approved on August 20th, 1985, but was not built, unbeknownst to us. We didn't find this out until you came out. And I've been in touch with Dylan Riker, I guess that's how you say his name, and to see if there's any other plans. I went on the Mass Land Records. I couldn't find anything. I don't even know how or why I have these plans. I've had them probably for 37, 35, 36, 37 years. I didn't even know. I was looking for something else in my file, and I found this, and I went, oh, my God. So you looked at it. It was approved. It was signed off by the planning board. Why it wasn't done is your guess is as good as mine. So we just want to do what was done, approved in 1985. And any board member want to look at these plans, you're welcome to.
Anybody got any questions?
No, I actually took a quick drive by earlier today to take a look at this, and especially with the rain that we've had today. So it looks like the drain pipe that you want to install underneath the road is just connecting piping that's connecting to the gutters on that building?
And some pumps, and some pumps.
Oh, and some pumps.
Yes.
Okay. And then the other thing that I realized is about a year ago, we gave a -3 determination to repaving this whole area. And so as I was watching it rain today, some of that rain on the pavement is actually diverted into a little outlet into this stream. I mean, it's kind of, I can't quite give the direction or orientation on this. And then the rest of it is sort of hits a concrete berm and then goes out to the
To the
main
street, to the-
road.
Yeah.
And so just sort of watching the water today, we had already approved, evidently, last year, some amount of runoff from the pavement going into this stream.
Right.
And so I think the bulk of what I was looking at today was just roof runoff. And I totally could see how if temperatures dropped, you would have a sheet of ice.
Oh, we have
that
had
whole
that
area
all- Yes,
there.
we've had this since the week before Christmas.
Yeah.
We had our landscaper on notice to come out and continually salt so that we wouldn't have somebody getting hurt.
Yeah, and I can see why it's all piped, because if that water just came down the downspouts from the roofs, it's going down into that water's just going to go down into your basements, which is
Yeah.
why you have the sump pumps.
We had
So-
we had 4 units flood,
Yeah.
basements flood.
Yeah, so after sort of observing that today, I don't really have any issues with this. It seems like a reasonable solution.
The runoff that you saw from the street into the swale wasn't an issue because the catch basins also go into the swale. So it doesn't matter if it gets routed to a catch basin or not, because it's
Yeah.
all going in there anyway.
Right.
All right, so are we looking for a motion?
Yeah, unless there's any other comments?
I'll make a motion to make a -3 determination for this project.
Second?
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, you're all set?
Great, thank you. Just a procedural question now. Will you be sending something out in writing to us? Oh, wonderful. Thank you so much. Thank you, guys.
Thanks for coming back in.
Thank you.
Have a good night.
All right, new business. Request for determination of applicability. Greg Bonner, 58 River Road. A request for determination of applicability has been filed by Greg Bonner to construct a pool house. The proposed work is within 100-foot buffer zone of a protected wetland. Is anyone here from for this project?
Hi there, I'm Greg Bonaire.
Hi, good evening,
How you
Greg.
doing? Good evening. We're looking to build a pool house. And we applied for a permit to do the foundation, and the builder said that it was required to come by in front of the Conservation Board.
Yeah, our job is to just make sure that there's no negative impact to the wetlands there. And it looks to me like you have, standard frost depth foundations with a 6-inch slab through the area of their construction. There's a small structure on top of that.
That's correct, yeah.
The request, as far as I'm concerned, to protect the wetlands here is to, prior to construction, set up a straw wattle and silt fence
Okay,
downhill of any excavation or any destabilization of soil,
okay,
right? So the grass is holding it all together, keeping it from eroding soil into the wetlands when it rains.
okay,
But once you start digging, you're loosening fill, and that dirt could wash downstream, downhill into the water. So you'd put up silt fence, straw wattle, and its job is erosion control. That would stay up through the entirety of construction until the soil is restabilized with new seed, mulch, however you determine to, finish off the project. Anybody got any questions, comments?
No, I think we're a decent distance from the resource here, barely close to the resource, it looks like. So I don't think there's any issue with this. We're not digging down too far or anything, so I have no problem with this.
All right, we're looking for a motion. I'll make a motion to make a -3 determination on this project.
Second the motion.
Is there any chance of
RDA?
adding in any kind of requests about erosion control, seeing as they're not shown on the plans?
And would also like to put in a erosion control plan. Brad, could you?
Yeah, an erosion control barrier to be set throughout the duration of construction.
Okay.
We don't need an additional plan, I don't think.
Okay.
But just because it didn't show erosion control on your plan,
Okay,
so the -3 determination means that we've decided this is not a negative impact to the wetlands, but
Okay.
you are in our jurisdiction, right? So you're good to go, but as a condition
A condition.
that you set an erosion control barrier through the duration of construction until the soil's restabilized.
Consisting of straw wattle
Straw wattle or silt fence.
or silt fence.
okay. Perfect.
Second?
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you.
Thank you.
And again, your paperwork will come from Peter. Next up, another request for determination of applicability. Rachel Montanez, 540 Wentworth Ave. An RDA has been filed by Rachel Montanez to construct an above-ground pool. The proposed work is within a 100-foot buffer zone of a protected wetland and within the FEMA 100-year floodplain. Good evening.
Hi, I have our pool company joining via Zoom because I know they have all of the specifics and whatnot and can probably answer more, of the, the questions about the specifics.
Great.
But we were looking to put in an above-ground pool, first time, homeowner near wetlands, and we didn't even realize that that little spot where the runoff goes was wetlands when we first decided to try to look into this. So, whatever we can do. And we're very conscientious about the wetlands because we know how it impacts some of our neighbors, with the water flow. Luckily, that area is dry. I want to say 90% of the year. It's just, spring, if there's torrential downpours, we'll get that water that will kind of come through the backyards there.
In my review, I had missed that this was in the flood zone, so I'm just taking a quick look again. So the intent for the pool is to be set, more than 50 feet away. My main concern here is, just the pumping out of the pool, any maintenance or removal of water, because of the chemicals.
I can
it's-
speak on that. Can you hear me?
Sure. And
Hi, I'm
just,
Debbie.
I'd like to finish my statement, please.
Sorry.
We just want to make sure that it gets pumped out away from the wetlands into a catch basin. That's really our biggest concern with a pool near the wetlands. As long as you're here, you hear us, you understand that, and of course, the chance of a pool breaking in some form and that water getting in there is a real risk. But we historically haven't considered it enough of a risk to inhibit people from building a pool. Does anybody else have any questions? I don't know if you could hear that up above. Might be a question for Debbie. The dimensions of the pool and the volume.
The dimensions and the volume are, let me just pull up this list I have. So the pool is 12 feet long, 20 feet wide, and 4 feet tall, and it holds 6,765 gallons of water.
Do you happen to know what the floodplain elevation of in this area is?
I'm not sure. I do know that the homeowner, Rachel, she has an elevation report that their property is actually higher than the floodplain, I believe is what it says.
our property, we have a elevation certificate. I don't know the exact, I'd have to pull that up, but we were able, when we went for our FEMA insurance, they were able to give us that certificate. So our property is up a bit. I've never seen the water come, even when we've had substantial downpours, I've never seen the water come, up that far into the yard. Maybe at the very corner of the back fence there.
Do you happen to have a copy of that with you?
Let me see. Debbie, did I send that to you?
You did.
So, I have a digital copy, could I maybe?
Yeah, if you don't mind, if I can take a look.
Yeah.
So the purpose of this certificate is to define areas, elevations of different parts of the structure and lot. My concern is that a pool would be fill in the flood zone, but this should give us some information about how the lot is structured and. All right, so we are at base flood elevation 126. The lowest grade around the foundation is 1.9 feet higher than the flood zone. The top of the bottom floor is right around the flood zone. So theoretically, if we hit the 100-year flood, your water would come up to the joists that hold your first floor up, and it would fill your basement entirely. Can you describe where you intend to put the pool in relationship to the grade? Like, does it start to slope down and you would level it out some?
Yeah, from the house, it slowly comes down, and then once you get to that point past the fence, it drops down a little bit more dramatically into that little catch basin.
Mm-hmm.
The 4x4 grate with the holes in it, or 2x2, I mean.
No, it's just a little natural, curvature in the land that goes behind all the houses.
Okay.
And,
A drainage
neighbors-
swale.
Yeah, the neighbors call it a catch basin, but it's just that, and you can literally see, if we get torrential downpours, the water coming from down the street, it goes right through and goes straight through, and it also is graded down and away from the properties as well. So even when there's been substantial, the water always goes away from the homes and down into that area kind of behind.
So, if you don't mind, if you could return to the podium, just so we can hear you. How much lower than the grade that is the earth around your foundation is the elevation where you would want to put your pool?
So,
I know this is rough.
I know. It's.
Is it 1 foot or is it 5 feet?
No, I think it's closer to like 1, maybe 1.5 feet.
Okay.
Down. I don't know exactly, but I would say it's closer to that, like 1 to 2 feet.
So we have 2 feet before we're in the flood zone, is the point that I was getting at. There's a question about whether or not this elevation is this pool is even in the flood zone.
Yeah.
So, I don't have an issue with it.
No.
53 feet from the actual resource, right?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean, give or take. It's not like they.
Yeah,
do
and
it on
I mean,
side, but-
I'm trying to, in the past, in some ways, we've treated pools as temporary structures, at least above ground pools.
And it would make it easy to authorize it in a 100-foot buffer.
Yeah,
The
but the
is
flood
a
zone makes it different, yeah.
little different.
But I mean, I think it's pretty high.
What do you got?
This is from Wentworth, and it looks pretty flat out there.
Yeah.
Behind the house.
Yeah, I don't have.
Anybody got any questions?
One question. So I'm assuming, because I know a little bit about the installation of pools, they're going to dig down a little bit, level off that area first, and then probably fill it with sand, correct?
I don't think for this.
Or is it going to be staged?
I was gonna say, for this pool, I don't think they have to dig down very much. I did buy some sand, because I know they were gonna put some sand down, like underneath the line, or,
They don't have to dig down too deep?
no.
Okay.
More like leveling to make sure it's level, but it didn't seem like they were gonna, Debbie might have a little more insight
Okay.
into this, but when it was explained to me, it didn't seem like it was gonna be more leveling because my yard does go down on a slope.
Correct. So that's the only concern I have is how deep do they have to dig down to get that level spot that they need?
I think
But
we're-
if it's, maybe your pool person would be able to answer that.
I guess, I mean,
Hi.
yeah, go ahead. Debbie.
I did talk to the rep the other day just to make sure that this 100% was not a pool that we were recessing. He said this is a straightforward leveling only. He said the most they'd have to do on one end is about 1.5 inches to make the entire thing level. And then the sand would be down under the pool.
Thank you.
Anybody else?
I'll make a motion to grant this project a -3 determination.
Second?
Second the motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thanks for coming in, and good luck with your pool. Have fun this summer,
Thank you so much.
of course.
Thank you, everybody.
Have a good night.
April 24th meeting minutes. Any comments?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second that.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Anything from you, Peter? All right, final motion?
Motion to adjourn.
I'll second.
All right, good night, everybody, and go Bruins.